Welcome back to the Paranorm Girl podcast. I am your host, Kristen. 'Twas the Friday before Christmas, and all through the town, a chat of Christmas cryptids, of which I am totally down. Author of the fabulous book series Happy Little Monsters, Gregory Fedora joins me once again for today's pre-Christmas bonus episode to talk about some legendary and creeptastic critters that are included in his latest book, The Creatures Are Stirring, a creepy Christmas collection. We had such a fun talk. I knew as soon as he popped up on the StreamYard screen, it was going to be a good time. And it was. I want to give you guys a heads up early on here to be sure that you stay tuned for details on how you can snag your very own signed copy of The Creatures Are Stirring. Be sure you keep an ear out for that. All right. And also, of course, the clock for the giveaway of the Lawn Mower 5.0 Ultra is about to run out today, tomorrow, and Sunday. That is all that you have left here to submit to win you a remarkable little trimmer, thanks to my partners over at Manscaped. All in appreciation of you, the listeners, for such an incredible year. That is all I had for housekeeping today. So settle in now, folks. We're kicking Christmas off right this year with the cryptic and the ghostly. Before jolly old Saint Nick, before Rudolph and red cups, before cute little elves on shelves and have yourself a merry little Christmas, there were ghost stories, terrifying creatures with a mission, life lessons you were better off learning, and rules worth abiding by, or else. The whole month of December was a tough time to be on the naughty list. Please enjoy my conversation with Gregory Fedora.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad to be back. I love coming on your show. It's so much fun. Your show's just fun all the time. It's fun to listen to. I also like to watch it. I think I always twofer it. Like I listen to it and then later I'll watch it on YouTube. So like you get double view and listen from me. Like every time you put one out, because I like hearing, but then I like seeing, because I like to see like when you have guests or what. Like you do great facial expressions when you're talking, especially like when you're doing. So it's like because you can tell you're really into it, and so it's fun to watch. Like you make even just you sitting there talking entertaining.
It's
And so,
yeah, the micro expressions that
yeah.
it didn't shoot my acting career up off the ground, but
Yet.
I get to use it for something. Yes.
Yeah. I might be calling you for your acting career now because I have ideas for some shorts that I popping in.
Hey man, I'm
Revol-
available.
Yeah, revolving around the Happy Little Monsters. I started thinking of trying to do
really?
some yeah. Like I started working on some scripts, like not only doing like the little stories, but actually do like a mockumentary as though people were either killed or seen these things, and like and kind of that's in the works. I'm still working on it, like almost like horror film mockumentary, making them like seem even scarier than they might be. But we're not here to talk about that. So.
Well, I mean,
but yeah, I'm just letting you know.
I want to know what you've been up to. What's in the works. How's the show been going?
Good.
Yeah.
It's been going well. Yeah, I mean, I'm always having fun, so I enjoy having people on, and then writing books, and then writing scripts and stories and songs, whatever. And now it's Christmas time,
Yes.
and so
yes. And you couldn't have picked a more proper hat for this.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and like exactly. It's it has a star on it. It's really tall.
Yeah,
There you go.
There. Oh my gosh. Oh my
Right,
god.
so
It's got
like
little ornaments for my listeners only. It's got little ornaments on it. It's garland tree. It's about 1.5 feet tall, and it's the most amazing hat I've ever seen.
Yeah, I have to duck wherever I go, and so which is a big deal because I'm not that tall, so it makes me feel tall. And so like I'm like a big guy now. So
Yeah, imposing there.
yeah, with my
Well,
Christmas hat. Yes.
Mr. Fedora, we've got some awesome things to talk about. This is a real it's very celebratory. That's the
Yeah.
atmosphere I'm feeling, and I just want to celebrate this holiday. And we're going to talk a little bit about some of the creepy Christmas cryptids in your new book. Let
Yes.
me show it for my viewing audience here. Yes, the Creatures Are Stirring, a creepy Christmas collection. You did it again, sir. The
Yes.
Happy Little Monster series, awesome. This was excellent. This was so much fun to read. Um, I'll tell you, every year it's there's a moment that comes when it's fine, like the spirit of Christmas like shocks me. Like I'm
Hmm.
just going along and I'm not really feeling, and then all of a sudden I get that feeling, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh yes, it's the
Yeah.
holidays. It's like almost Christmas. It's a feeling. And this year it was when I was going through this. I
Oh, well,
can't
thank you.
explain it.
That's great.
Yeah, it was just like, "Oh, this is so cool. Oh, I feel it. There it is."
Yeah.
So, but there's some scary stuff in there too. There's
Yeah.
some creepiness. So, wanted to get into those. But first, you also include some stories.
Yes.
And you talk a little bit about the tradition of
Hmm.
telling certain kind of stories around this time of year, and I
Hmm.
just wanted to ask you about but this darker side of Christmas. Um,
Yes.
yeah, go into that the
All right.
tradition
Yeah.
of what that is.
Well, before I do, I need to say the title, The Creatures of Stern. I got to give a shout out to my old college roommate, Eric Morris, because when I told him I was going to do this, I was like, I had a lame idea of it. And he goes, dude, why don't you just be like that the night before Christmas? They say not a creature is stirring. He goes, I mean, you're talking about creatures that are out there doing stuff. He goes, why don't you say the creatures are stirring? And I was like, dude, so I got to give him a shout out for that because that's the only thing he's ever contributed to my life
Uh,
that was worth anything. And so I'm kidding. He and I are really good friends still, but I just had to say that. But I wanted to give him a shout for that. But as far as like you're talking about the ghost stories, uh,
yes.
now it goes back to when I was young, and I think everybody's heard the song "The Most Wonderful Time of the Year." There's a line in the thing, and I have it in the book where they talk about there will be scary ghost stories and blah 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 blah. And I remember when I was little, I was just like it went in one ear out the other, but then it kind of kept coming back in my head. Scary ghosts, what's that got to do with Christmas? I don't understand. I couldn't understand. And then as I got older, then I was like, oh well, yeah, the Christmas Carol, because it has some scary scenes. And and then it got me thinking. I was like, but it's scary ghost stories. That's only one story. So then as I started delving into it, it's like that was a huge tradition going back uh back hundreds and hundreds of years. And it's even up until like the 1900s, people were still telling ghost stories at Christmas time. And I think it evolved like even like in Yule, because it used to be called Yule, like in that's when you would like the Yule log and all that. And what it was is like people mortality became a really like especially in wintertime and the cold time of the year, people die and just the elements. And so it was a frightening time of year, but also mysterious. And this was almost a bigger time of year of talking about the veil being thin between life and death than Halloween. Because like Halloween was kind of more like was it Shyamalan? Well, I can't remember pronounce what it like some people called it, like the Druids called
Oh,
it,
the
but
Samhain.
Samhain.
Mm-hmm.
So I was gonna say Samhain, but yeah,
Samhain.
Samhain. But that was the Druids, and that was over on the Celtic
Mhm.
area. But like in the Germanic area and stuff, they didn't really have Samhain. That wasn't a big deal to them, but Yule was. And so this was their kind of scary time. Then when Christianity came, and then they said, no, Jesus was born on 25th, even though historically that was an impossibility because
Mhm.
of what was going on at the time. It would have been, most historians would have said it was in the fall or early fall when he would have been born, as opposed to December 25th. It just none of that made sense. But the church was like, let's do this because we're trying to stomp out the paganism, but let's still give them a party.
Yeah.
And so we'll say Christmas. But it really like part of that tradition. They told these ghost stories are scary, and a lot of the times they were scary, but they were like life lessons, and you kind of learn something from it. Just like now times we talk about the Yule log, and it's oh Yule log, but that was more of a trying to keep people alive. So like you would have a huge log that you burned all night to keep warm, and that was the Yule log, and that was to keep you alive and keep you warm so you didn't get hypothermic and die. And these stories, like obviously everybody knows Christmas Carol. There's others. There's the Midnight Visitor. There's Shmee. There's I mean a ton. Like if you can go down a rabbit hole of Christmas or Yule ghost stories.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, most of them have life lessons, and it's like things that you want to learn and to do. Like a lot of them, like obviously Christmas Carol was Scrooge learning to be a good man,
Mm-hmm.
and and a lot, but others were like, hey, be kind to a visitor. If someone comes to you at this time of year, and it's like, hey, I need a place to stay, let them in. And um, I, if you go back, this is interesting. Even Beauty and the Beast, originally, when the fairy or whatever you want to call her came to the prince,
Mm-hmm.
it was at Christmas time, and she went
Oh.
to him and wanted shelter, and he's like, "No, go away." And so she cursed him to look like what his heart was. And
Huh.
so and that's where and it was in the winter time that she came, wanted shelter. And a lot of these ghost stories are like that, where they go and but like Beauty and the Beast isn't necessarily about Christmas, but it was in that time, and that's when so it kind of falls into there. But
Mhm.
uh, a lot of the ghost stories, like a visitor would come, someone would come, a loved one, and how you react, and then you find out, oh, that loved one was dead,
Mhm.
and now you're cursed, and it's on and on and on, and it was just very dark, but at the same time celebratory because sometimes the hero came through in the end and changed.
Yeah.
And so, and it was just very interesting. And the ghosts, and they are all really creepy. Like if you go into them and start reading them, you're like, these really are kind of scary to be. And you think about
Mhm.
like nowadays we have TV and phones and stuff, so we don't really sit around and tell stories. But that's what they would do. Like that's their entertainment. They'd sit around the Yule log, sit around the fireplaces, and tell stories.
Mhm.
And and it brought the family together. And if you think about it, like scary stories bring you closer together because like when you start getting scared, you cuddle up with each other, you get closer and closer, and
Yeah, yeah.
like and you get shocked together, and so the adrenaline uh and so it was like a family thing, even though it was kind of weird and scary. It had a purpose, and
Huh.
it was very to me is interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
And like I
It's
say, in the yeah,
Oh, I was just gonna say, yeah, it seems so like antithesis to how we view Christmas today.
yeah,
Obviously, this tradition has died down. We haven't
yeah, it's,
like this is going to be a surprise to some people
hmm
that this was such a big thing, a huge part of
yeah.
people's Christmas celebrations. This is what they
And,
did was to tell scary stories.
And I think the only one that's really lasted that we still talk about is A Christmas Carol.
Right,
And
right.
that's really the only one, but there's so many others that are just as good, just as interesting, and have a good life lesson in them. Like, and so, um, obviously, I picked some that didn't. Like, I talked about the Christmas Carol in there, but I talked about Smee, and I think it's the Midnight Visitor.
Mhm.
Uh, but those don't necessarily have a life lesson as much as they're just creepy and they're take place on Christmas. And some people be like, "Is that really a Christmas story?" Just like Die Hard. But yes, it is. It is, and I'm throwing out there, Die Hard's a scary Christmas story.
Die Hard will always be a
Yeah,
Christmas movie.
just like Violent Night. That's another one. I don't know if you've seen that one, but that's another great Christmas story. So
Is that wait, is that Gina
that's Santa
Davis?
Claus. No, no,
Oh, oh,
no.
okay.
Yeah, Violent Night is a new one with the dude from Stranger Things, David.
Oh, yeah.
He plays Santa Claus,
Okay,
and
okay.
I won't give the whole thing away, but basically terrorists take over this family's home, and the little girl wishes for her family to be safe, and Santa comes and does his thing. And so it makes you be like, Santa's awesome. So
Yeah, Santa's a badass.
yeah,
Um,
exactly.
well, talking about, like, like these creepy stories that families were telling each other, and some of these life lessons. It made me think of this other thing that just came to mind as I was reading through these how you relay these creatures. Were they also
Hmm.
telling stories about like legendary creatures in the area too, or
Yeah.
was this tradition specifically ghost stories?
No, yeah, if you actually look at even the creatures,
Hmm.
like a lot of them had to do with like if you read how to make sure you don't run into them, it was also
Hmm.
like a life lesson. Like
Yeah.
obviously everyone knows Krampus. He's like the OG king of Christmas creepiness. But to stay away from him and not deal with him, you had to be a good kid. And you had to
Right.
by listen to your mom, dad, do your chores. Then you didn't have to worry about Krampus. So it was kind of like a do the right thing, bad things aren't going to happen to you. You know, it's like that was kind of thing. It's like if you do the right thing, good things are going to come. And like I said, Krampus came on one night, St. Nicholas the next. So it's like, so it, Krampus came and got all the bad kids out of there. So the good kids got, could celebrate, which is kind of morbid that you'd be celebrating right after your friend Brian got taken to hell. But
Yeah.
still, you know, but all of them, like if you go into like how to make sure you don't have to deal with like even the Yule lads from Iceland, it was the Yule lads were kind of like the precursor to the elf on the shelf, whereas
Oh,
the
yeah.
elf on the shelf, we have that tradition and it comes and does silly little things that are, oh, that's funny, blah blah
Mhm.
blah. Well, the Yule lads would come and it wasn't necessarily silly little things. They did like it was like, did you put the cow away last night? Oh no. Oh well, guess what? The Yule lad came and sucked all the milk out of her. So now we don't have milk. Thanks, Johnny.
God,
And so,
Johnny.
hey,
Yeah,
Johnny, you
yeah, the
suck.
the Yule lads, there's 13 of these little
Yes,
guys, and they just
yeah,
have just the best
very specific.
names, and they're very specific. Yes, they're
Yeah,
little
they
mis
each have a specific and they come on different nights. So, and I couldn't figure out if that there was a specific reason why they came, but they don't all come at the same time. So it wasn't like you'd sit there and like, oh, 13 are coming. No, they came on specific nights over a 13-day period. And if you didn't have a certain thing done by then, well, you could get screwed. Like the one would come and eat all your food. And like, which there again, like, that's you need food to survive. And then you had others that would come and chase your sheep or do this. So if you didn't have them all locked up, you know, so they had, it's like, they're like just disgruntled elves on the shelf. But that's because they were raised by a horrible mother. And yeah,
Yes, yes,
so yeah, so
Gryla, which,
yeah,
we're gonna
Gryla,
talk
yeah.
about her before
Yes.
we get too far away, though. Let's take it back to Krampus here for a
Yes,
sec.
the OG, yes.
The OG, yes, legendary creature. Everybody, I mean, most people have probably heard of Krampus by now. I don't
Yes.
think I was much older though before I heard the legend of Krampus
Mhm.
and understood, oh, this is like a thing, like an actual thing.
Yeah.
But like nowadays, it's kind of celebratory. Obviously,
Yeah, he
it's a legend, but people are like celebrating in such crazy ways. There's like Krampus runs and
and yeah,
festivals and
festivals, yeah.
yeah,
He's
yeah,
getting his due now. He's
he
like,
is.
he's made a
Yeah,
big comeback. So,
he has. Well, take us through, Krampus. Let's talk about, tell us, what is this creature? What are we, visualizing here?
so Krampus is like he's like almost an anti-Santa. And basically Santa he wears very similar garb. He wears like a red outfit. He has a big sack. He instead of bells he has chains that jingle, but you hear them jingling as he comes. He's got like kind of a wolf goat kind of head. It's a mixture, but it has horns, but he has very sharp teeth. He has cloven feet and a tail. It's almost kind of like the old school devil look, but um, he's also he has a specific thing he does, and he's only out to get the bad people. It's not like he goes and terrorizes good people. Um, but he comes on December 5th. That's and traditionally nowadays we celebrate him pretty much all December long. There's
Mhm.
Krampus festivals all. all year, or not all year, all December.
Right.
And he 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 was a huge deal, and he was even pre like then Saint Nicholas comes on December 6th, like in the Christian thing. And over in Germany, in these places where Krampus was a big deal, they just sort of Krampus came on the 5th and Saint Nicholas on the 6th. And but Krampus was around before the Saint Nicholas tradition came, and that he was celebrated by the German people
Hmm.
for hundreds of years. And again, it was be good to your family, do the things you need to do. You don't have to worry about Krampus.
Hmm.
And uh, they didn't, so that's a way to get your kids to do what you need help with. Like, hey, Krampus it's coming in like a week. You better get, your stuff together. And you better be listening to mom and dad, and you better be doing what the town needs you to do. And it was more of a like everyone in the town got together to do their best. And if you made it through December 5th and nobody died or was gone, it's like, hey, Krampus skipped us. We must be a good town. And then it also made me wonder, like, did they ever like sacrifice a kid just because, hey, we've got to make sure these kids get in line, take, Kevin out back and, slaughter him. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what they did, but like, that's where my head went. I was like, well, obviously at some point, some kid or somebody disappeared and they were like,
Yeah.
Krampus got him. No.
Launched this whole thing off. So
Yeah.
so wait a second. So Krampus precedes the Saint Nicholas legend?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so Krampus was
Wow.
around before that. He was there for a long time. Then when St. Nicholas came, they kind of blended together. Similar, like I think in France they have a guy named Black Pete who is very similar to Krampus, but he's not as old of a legend as
Mhm.
Krampus. But one of the differences, Black Pete just comes and gives you coal and spanks you, and
Oh.
whereas Krampus will beat you, and if necessary, he puts you like he doesn't now. A lot of people say they'll go with he beats you, then shoves you in the sack and takes you away. Well, he has levels of so he may just beat you with birch sticks and that's it. Like maybe that's all you deserved. But if you're really bad, he shoves you in his sack and he takes you to hell, and you never. And he's kind of uh, falls into if you look at Nordic Hel is Thor's sister, and those who watched Marvel, they saw Hel show up in one of the movies. But she was really a badass. You didn't want to deal with her, and this was her son. And Krampus look like that's
Oh.
kind of where they got it. I can't remember what her son was named, but it wasn't Krampus, but it was like began with a K. It was like very similar. He had the same look, all that, and that was her kid. And
Mhm.
now it got him morphed into Krampus, and he showed up and for for hundreds and hundreds of years, maybe over about 1,000 years, people feared Krampus, and this was a big deal. This was a thing. And then
Mhm.
Saint Nicholas got involved, and then it became kind of more whimsical with it as we as time went on. It became kind of a goofy, fun thing. It wasn't necessarily he kind of toned down a bit. He didn't necessarily take it. It was more like, oh, Krampus comes, and if you're naughty, that's what happens in Saint Nick comes. So
Mhm.
then it toned down. Now here's where it gets really weird and crazy in Germany. And I don't have this in my book, but because this is one of the things I was like, go look this up. It's legit true and it's weird and I don't understand it. In 1938, 39, Hitler banned Krampus. You were not allowed to celebrate Krampus in Germany. I don't know why. And now I was talking to someone the other day and he gave a great theory. And his thing is because maybe Hitler really believed in Krampus and was afraid that Krampus was going to come and take him and all his little brown shirt guys and take them to hell. So he's like,
Mhm.
no Krampus. He's not allowed in Germany. But I couldn't figure out why he hated Krampus. But it was like maybe his mom and dad tried to use him to make him good, and it didn't work, obviously. But but he banned Krampus from Germany, and so from like 1938 till 1945, there were no Krampus festivals at all, and he almost went away. Like it was almost like after that time period, he almost became a forgotten creature.
Hmm.
And then after the war, slowly they started doing more. People started bringing Krampus back, and he was toned down quite a bit. Now we're starting to get him back up to being like the movies. Like there's a Krampus movie where he came and he was like killing people and stuff.
Yeah.
So he's starting to get ramped up, but for years he got really toned down. He like if you see some of the drawings from the 50s and stuff, he's more lovable looking. He's not as scary. So it did this turn. I don't know if it was because of the war, but that was to me an interesting aspect of the Krampus lore is that the Nazis hated him. So you got to think if the Nazis hate you, you can't be that bad. That's where I went with it. I was like, hey, all right, good on him. Good for Krampus.
Well, speaking of cute things, you shared a video with me. Did you want to play that now?
So sure, yeah.
Set us up here because this is adorable.
Okay.
I cannot wait to watch it. I'll be watching it with my listeners for the first time here. Go ahead.
So a few years ago, I was just goofing around and I wrote a Krampus carol, and I did it really fast. And I recorded it and I played it for my kids, and they thought it was funny. And then at the time I was playing around a lot with animation, and I'm not a good animator just so you know when you see it. So I was like, okay, I'm going to make an animated Krampus. And I kind of did, and it looks kind of like a cat, but I made Krampus singing about himself. And I think it's called Krampus is Coming to Town. And it's just like this jolly little jingle, but it's on YouTube and we have it here and you're going to play it. So
all right. So
I have not listened to it in months, but I know I was going to be listening to it because my niece always makes me play it around Christmas.
This is going to be awesome. Okay, Here we go.
It's Christmas time all around. Listen to the bells as they sound. Winter wonderland of our dreams. Hey, why do I keep hearing screams? Krampus is coming to town, taking the bad children down. He'll spank you on your back, then stuff you in his big old sack. You can beg and you can cry, saying please why, Krampus, why? He doesn't care what you have to say. You've been naughty every day. Krampus is coming to town, taking the bad children down. He'll spank you on your back, then stuff you in his big old sack. So do your best all the time. Be good and don't commit a crime. Say nice things and don't you swear, or Krampus will take you to his lair. Yeah. Krampus is coming to town, spank you on your back, then stuff you in his big old sack.
There you go.
Wow.
Yeah, and if you notice if you're watching the video, it goes from a very pretty Christmas scene, and slowly the background just turns darker and darker
I
and darker
noticed
as the
that.
whole time goes. That was my attempt at animate. Like I've gotten better at animation, by the way.
You know
Like
that
I can make their arms move now, and this was that time I could make the head move and talk, and could not figure out how to get the arms and hands doing stuff. So he just stands there like, hey, So, but
I thought that was great.
yeah,
I
so
can't do animation. That's
so
awesome.
so
Uh,
yeah, it's
was the eye tick on purpose, or was that part of the
oh well.
program?
Well, what happened is like I use a software. It's I think it's Character Animator and or Character Studio, where it actually captures my face, and as I'm moving, that's why his head was moving, and it like I
Oh.
re-sang the song, and that's his mouth followed what my mouth was doing, and I didn't realize what I was doing. I was kind of squinting and kind of kept turning my head, and
Oh.
it made the one eye look like he had an eye tick, and then at the and then when it's all done, I was like, that's kind of funny.
Yeah.
I'm leaving that in because it looks like he's about to go insane and just lose his mind.
It's a
It's like,
very specific character choice.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
enjoyed that
yeah,
quite a bit.
yeah. So there, yeah.
Yay, awesome.
Krampus has issues. I mean, maybe he
Yeah.
doesn't want to kill kids, but he does it. It's like
I
so
mean,
that's why his eye
everybody's got a
ticks.
job to do, man, and
Yeah,
sometimes you
it's
gotta
his
kill
goal.
kids, so
Yeah,
take 'em
you
put 'em
gotta.
in your sack, take 'em
Yep,
away.
hey, somebody's got to do it.
Somebody has to do it. It's
Yeah,
Christmas. Come on.
yeah, it's part of the tradition.
Overdraft fees are just the worst. Get up to $200 in fee-free overdraft with the Chime checking account. Sign up today at chime.com/goals24. Banking services and debit card provided by Bancorp Bank N.A. or Stride Bank N.A. Members FDIC. Spot me eligibility requirements and overdraft limits apply.
All right, so that was Krampus.
That was Krampus singing about himself.
Yes, and you can learn even more about Krampus in the book, listeners. The Creatures Are Stirring, a creepy Christmas collection.
Yes.
Let's talk about another one.
All right.
The other one I want to talk about and hear you elaborate upon. This one creeped me out for some
Yeah.
reason. Like there's a lot of creepy stuff in the book, but this character specifically is just like, whew, it didn't sit right with me. Her name
Yeah.
is Gryla.
Yeah.
Talk about this lovely little creature.
Okay. Yeah. Now, she's from like Icelandic and Nordic lore. And she was like a witch, but like just basically just a bad woman, scary, ugly, kind of like a giantess type of lady. She's a big lady. Um, and she had a husband, which in all the lore they don't really get into him other than he was like a troll. So she was just a horrible lady, and the only person that would marry her was like this troll dude. And then they had 13 kids, which were the Yule lads. And she also owned a cat, which was the Yule cat. So she was very specific to pre-Christianity, Yule time, and she came around and similar to Krampus in that she took bad kids, and definition of bad kids for her was like really those who weren't prepared for the winter. And so it was like, again, this was like kind of a life lesson in that, like, if you don't have your chores ready, if you don't have the house prepared for winter, if you're not wearing the right clothes for winter, so me and my friends would have been taken away because we would go out and play in the snow in shorts and t-shirts sometimes, like a bunch of idiots.
Mhm.
Where Gryla's like, no, you got to wear the proper clothes. You're going with me, and she would take kids. And now her thing is, she was cannibalistic, where she would chop up the kids, make a stew, eat them. And
Delicious.
so yeah,
Mhm.
children's stew, it's good. And obviously that's what her kids were raised on, kids stew. That's we don't even want to go into that. No, but kids stew, and that's why they turned out the way they did. But and they had a dad that just was not involved. but and a mother that was too involved and crazy.
Yeah.
But she was like just kind of very scary. And I try like she was another one that's been around for as long as Yule has been around, and I kind of wondered because like what I found in like with mythology and folklore and stuff, it's usually based off of something.
Mm-hmm.
And so it made me think that there probably was a woman at some point back in the day that was kind of a weird, scary lady that maybe she did kill kids and she was cannibalistic. And her like story just, over time got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And so to the point where now Gryla is like part of this tradition. And she is celebrated in Iceland and stuff. They still same with the Yule lads and the Yule cat are kind of a big deal over there. They have like a big festival, very similar to like people do Krampus Fest, but
Mm-hmm.
like this is very specific to Iceland, Norway, Greenland. Those people they have these things. There's like every year they do a huge like not necessarily Gryla, but for the Yule cat, which was her cat, uh, they do like a festival where people build giant Yule cats and they have them at, like
Oh.
for parades and stuff. And so, but that's over in there. And like, obviously she has not taken off like, and neither have her kids or anything as much as Krampus. And,
Mm-hmm.
but like, you can if you go on the Amazon, you can find Yule Lad figurines, kind of like the Elf on the Shelf, and you can find a Gryla figurine. The problem is, well, my problem with it is they make them all cutesy,
Mm-hmm.
and that's just how people like. So you get because I guess you don't want ugly, scary things hanging around your house at Christmas, but they make them look like little elves and little gnomes. Like, oh, it's the Yule Lads, they're so funny. It's like no, and then Gryla looks like this chubby little lady, and she's like smiling. It's like she ate kids.
She's a
Like,
cannibal. Hello.
yeah, and like but yeah, she's another one that like it's a life lessons again. Like all of them, like if you go through all of them, and I don't necessarily point out the life lesson, but if you read it, I talk about the things they said you had to do to keep these things away, and all of them were like in that time period things you would have to do to survive the winter.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas some of them are because you had to. Like nowadays, it's not as hard to survive the winter, at least in America. Like obviously in other countries, they don't have it as good in some places.
Yeah.
But even like in Europe and stuff, most of the world, it's pretty. You can make it through winter pretty easily.
Sure.
But unless you go into the way third world and further into the outback areas where they don't have electricity,
Mm-hmm.
and so maybe they still think about these monsters that are out there. And
Well, I wonder if a lot of these, because it seemed to me going through the book that a ton of them make some mention of naughty children in
yes,
some way, and that's
yeah,
part of it as well. And like with these other life lessons kind of sewn in there, like how do you survive the winter? How do you keep yourself presentable and warm and do
yeah,
your chores and like it all seems to be very much geared to the children, to their children at
yeah.
that time. So they wouldn't have known, when these legends were created or whatever, that someday, it's going to be a lot easier, but right now it's friggin' hard. So we have
Yeah,
to
exactly.
mature children pound this into their heads that at some point you're going to have to take care of yourself, and this is
And
why.
other people.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing that you think about, like you're only as strong as like the saying as your weakest link.
Mm-hmm.
So if everyone's doing their thing, but then I always pick on Bobby and Kevin, but if they don't do their jobs, and their job was something that was important, like cover the well so it doesn't freeze up,
Right.
then the whole family suffers because of one naughty kid.
Yep.
And so, and like in some of these tribes and group people, like they didn't really have issue with killing the weakest link, like especially in Vikings and stuff. If you were considered not to be up to par with what they needed, you may still be their son, but he's like, yeah, but you're my weak son. I
Yeah.
got strong sons, and then I got you.
Yeah.
And so it's like I mean, it sounds harsh, but also at the same time, it's like they're thinking of survival of the whole family, and they're like, okay,
Right.
we got if this one's not living up to what we need, it's like sad. But nowadays we don't think that way because we don't have to. And I'm not trying to say that what they did was right. I'm just saying that was the mindset, I think.
Yeah,
And
yeah, it was just the way it was. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, so yeah, thankfully we can now not be as afraid of Krampus and these things coming to kill us and eat us if we're naughty, you know. Because I was like, I totally would have been dead years ago.
Yeah.
Like, by multiple things would have come after me. I would have had Krampus. Everyone would have been attacking me, and my parents would be like, "Well, that's what happens. We told you." But then
Man.
I'd be like, "No, Mom, you didn't tell me about any of these things. I had to find out on my own."
Yeah, you
Like,
you would really hate Christmas. That would be a
yeah, I
terrible time
would.
of
Oh my
year.
God. Yeah, I'd be like, man, let's move to Hawaii because like this. But I'm sure they have traditions over there that are just as
They
similar.
do. That's odd you say that. I
Yeah,
was just researching some other cryptids and came across some Hawaiian cryptids, little tiny,
yeah.
little teeny tiny things. They're
Oh yeah,
helpful.
little dudes. Yeah,
Yeah.
little dudes with the masks,
Yeah,
right, or
they
something
help
like
out
that.
though. They finish construction
Yeah,
work and
unless you're Greg Brady and you fall off your surfing board, and
oh.
because did you ever see that
Uh-uh.
episode where he found
Uh-uh.
the? Oh yeah, I just showed my age because he found a little tiki dude, and it was a cursed tiki dude, and
Oh,
and
no.
he was in a surfing competition and he fell off, and that was the harshness of it all. He wore the
Oh, dear.
cursed tiki, and he lost the surfing competition. But at the time, it was like poor Greg. Yeah,
Don't be messing with no cursed tiki dudes.
yeah,
Cursed
you'll
anything.
lose
Don't
surfing
don't
co
don't
Yeah,
touch cursed objects, just don't.
yeah. I try to avoid them. So except for my hat. My hat,
That
it's
stays.
cursed, but I love it too much.
We all do. I'm very much in love with the hat. I need one, next year, actually. I think you should
Yeah.
sell them on your do an online store on
I
your
should I
website.
should I should make all the little ornaments little cryptids, and then
Oh, that's a
yeah.
great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now that I think about it, that would be amazing. I might do that.
You should. You should. It's PGP supported. Um,
Nice.
well, this has been awesome. We are getting up to a couple of things that we need to cover here at the end here.
Yes.
But listeners, get you a copy of this book. There's so many more cryptids and stories to learn throughout. It's always fascinating. Just learning new cryptids. There's a bunch in there I had never heard
Yeah.
of. The Yule lads, they're just outstanding. I think we were talking about it before.
Oh
Just
yeah.
oh God, the names and each of them have their own little jobs, and it's just fun. It's fun. It'll get you in the Christmas spirit, but
Yes.
definitely grab you a copy. Um, Speaking of which, though, yeah,
Yes.
let's talk a special little way that people could get a copy of this.
Yes.
For Christmas, a little Christmas giveaway.
Yeah.
Yeah, if they want to check it out for themselves. So, Gregory.
Yes. So you and I talked before we started,
Hmm.
and what I thought, this is my idea, and sorry people, this is how you could win a copy. I'm going to give away two. One through Kristen's site and her show. And then if you come over to mine, I'll have a little thing on my Instagram, and there'll be a link to my Instagram. And if you comment on the little picture I put up, which will be on the day today that this has been released, you go to my Instagram, comment, and you tell us what was the name of the song that we just played for you. And if you can name it, you'll be put into I guess was a raffle or
Yeah,
whatever.
here a little,
Yeah, and then
drawing.
we'll put all the right answers on her site. She's going to do it, and on mine. And then we're going to pick two winners, and each of you will get a autographed copy of The Creatures Are Stirring. And we'll give you. I was saying, we'll give it to Three Kings Day, which now
And
I'm going to look it up for
we
you. I'm going to be that nice.
okay. Thank you, sir. Well, we think
It's
it's
January 6th.
January
January
6th.
6th.
Okay. All right. So
Okay,
January
so
6th is the cutoff. That is the deadline.
yes.
Yes.
Yes, so you have till January 6th to write it in, and then on January 7th, we will announce a winner.
Okay.
So,
All right.
how about that?
All right. So listeners, so he is giving away two autographed copies of The Creatures Are Stirring. The deadline for this giveaway is January 6th. The announcement will be made January 7th. What do you have to do for the giveaway? You have to like the post about the giveaway that we're going to be putting it up here today, and comment the name of Gregory's song.
Yeah, what
that
was
he
the
played.
song?
What was the
Yeah.
song name?
And then, and if you get it close, we'll still, get it in there,
We'll be nice.
But
Yeah.
if you get it within, a couple words, I'll give it to you. And if you say how awesome it is, then you just automatically win.
Yeah.
No, just kidding. Just kidding. No, that's not true.
Yes.
True.
Oh gosh. Yeah. So there is the giveaway. So you guys have a chance to get something for Christmas, something so appropriate for Christmas. You're gonna love it. I recommend this book. It's so good.
Traditionally, Christmas lasts through January.
Does
in
it?
most world. They have little things that have to do with, well, at least in the Catholic Christian, they have little holidays up through the end of January that all have something to do with,
Oh.
like Christmas Day is just actually it starts at the first day of Advent, which I think is the first Sunday of December.
Mm-hmm.
And then it goes through the end of January because there's the Three Kings Day. Then there's the day where I think they say Jesus went into the temple and got not baptized, but what the Jewish people do, the circumcision, which poor guy. And so it's all in there. And then there's something about the day when they fled to Egypt.
Okay.
There's there's all these little days in there. So you'll get it in January. It's still part of the Christmas season, and probably your neighbor will have their Christmas lights up till at least April. So you'll be fine.
I mean, they always leave them up way too long.
I'm gonna leave mine up probably through the summer. So
I'm gonna leave mine up until next year. I am too lazy to take them down.
Yeah, it took so long to put them up.
I know. Put my life and limb at risk, hanging them up. I want to crawl up on my roof and hang off by my toes and be hanging lights.
Yeah, I don't want to do that either, but I did it.
I did it for you.
Yeah.
All right. So that is the giveaway announcement. We are here at our final segment of the day. Now, today's episode being such a celebratory episode, us being so close to Christmas, in lieu of doing some final questions for you, and in the spirit of Christmas, I thought we could share with my audience our Christmas ghost story.
All right. Yes. Let's do it. I'm ready.
You're just going to follow my lead on this.
Yes, I am. Let's go. I'm excited.
All right. Well, I need a prompt. So give me an occupation.
Okay. We will say librarian.
Librarian. I love it already.
Right.
Okay. Give me an object.
A wine glass.
Wine glass. Okay. All right. And I think that's good. That's a good enough prompt. I think that can get us started.
Right. Librarian and a wine glass.
That's all we need, baby.
Yeah.
No, this ghost story, it goes back generations. These were told to us by our four grandmothers, and it's been in the family for years.
Back before there was even librarians.
Even before then.
This was the first librarian of Christmas. So.
Yeah. This is the story of the first librarian of Christmas. Once upon a time, it was Christmas Eve, a very, very long time ago. It was after closing hours at the local library when Mary, our heroine of this story, was locking up for the last time.
And as she locked up, she heard a noise in the back room. She's like, wait a minute, this is Christmas Eve. There shouldn't be a creature stirring. not even a mouse. But she had to investigate because she was a librarian and very inquisitive because they're a lot like cats, which, well, we know what happens to cats that are inquisitive, but not always to librarians. So she slowly stepped back to where she heard the noise. And there, by the exit, she saw
A wine glass tipped over with one single red drop leaking over the edge. And she screamed, "That was the rest of my wine. Who drank my wine? Who tipped my glass? I was saving that for later." And then she started crawling up the stairs because she thought she heard another noise. Could it be a mouse? Could it be something else? Tiptoe, tiptoe. The stairs creaked under her weight. She wasn't a large woman. They were just old stairs. Tiptoe, tiptoe, until she reached the attic of the library. And she slowly approached the door. She turned the knob, creak, and the door swung open. And she stood there, aghast,
as she saw her former boss, Henry, who had been dead 10 years, but he had wine around his lips because he had an issue with drinking when he was alive. He was very angry, though, because he said, "As a ghost, I can't taste wine, so I wasted your wine. And now I've come to warn you, Mary, that we've been watching you, and you're not following the Dewey Decimal System. You're putting your books randomly throughout the library. Some children were trying to find a book on mathematics and grabbed one about geology, and they thought it was a geometry book, and now they're stupider because of you." Well, Mary was like, "Oh my gosh, like maybe I shouldn't be drinking wine on the job. And perhaps I should find out what the Dewey Decimal System is, because people don't even know what that is anymore." And then she's like, "What kids? They haven't been coming to the library in years. They have the internet." And that didn't matter. The ghost stood up and said, "You got to do better, Mary." And Mary fell backwards, and down the steps she started to tumble and tumble and tumble and tumble and tumble until
she landed flat on her bed. She sat up, breathing heavily, looking around her room. Oh, phew. It was just a dream. A terrible, terrible dream. I need to calm down. I need to get right with myself. And she reached over and turned on the lamp next to her bed. And then she reached for her handy dandy glass of leftover red wine. She had left one sip left for herself, just in case this happened again. But there was nothing there. She looked around. No wine glass to be found. Where was her wine? She got up out of bed, walked to the kitchen, opened all the cupboards, opened the fridge. No wine bottle. It was disappeared. And she wondered if there was some truth to her nightmare after all.
wow,
The end.
the end. That
That
That-
story, man, gets me every
that-
time.
it does, like, because like not having wine is, and it's probably Christmas Day, and all the liquor stores are closed.
Well, yeah.
So she won't be able to get any till the 26th.
I mean, there's so
And
many
she-
life lessons in this story, too. And that's really what we
Chloe
want to
said-
impart to people. One,
Yeah,
don't be an alcoholic.
like yes.
Two, if you're going to
Learn
be,
the Dewey Decimal System.
go to Dewey Decimal System School.
Yeah,
Learn your numbers.
Yeah.
Three, sometimes, dreams, there's a sense of reality to dreams where,
Yeah.
reality just seeps in there. And sometimes what you thought was just a dream is
more.
it's more than that. Yeah.
And learn that geology and geometry are not the same thing. They're not. They both begin with a G, but it's not the same.
You don't want to be dumber. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
at Christmas time. Because then Krampus comes because you're stupid.
Does he get you
that's-
because you're stupid too?
Maybe. Who knows? Because you would be the weakest link. So,
Yeah,
the dumb kid.
that Krampus.
Yeah, he's not a good guy. Not at all. Can't pay, except for he's enemy of the Nazis, so he's got to be a little good.
See
So,
that right there. Yeah, I'm
yeah.
kind of on Krampus's side at that
Yeah.
point. Yeah. But yeah, he still did some awful things. He did.
Yeah. But
Sometimes your villain, you have to accept that your villain has some good qualities too. You know?
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And he makes Christmas fun in his own special way.
All right, Gregory. Another awesome
Thank you for
time talking to you. Absolutely. Remind my audience where to follow you online and where can they grab their copy if they are not lucky enough to win the giveaway and they want to pick up this book. Where can they get it?
Well, they can go to Amazon, and if they go to Amazon, if you just type in the Fedora Files, you will see all kinds of all of my books there, but it'll be there. Like I think it's if you scroll down, you do the Fedora Files. I think the first one that pops up is Happy Little Monsters Volume 1. Then I think the next one is the Creatures Are Stirring, and then all the other ones. And by the way, come January, Volume 4 of Happy Little Monsters will be coming out.
What? Yay!
Yeah, so that's coming out in January. I can't remember the exact day, but it'll be in January. I'll let you know. But yeah, you can go there, Amazon, order it. You can order it for your family. I actually gave it to a bunch of my family members just because they love this kind of stuff too. So they were really excited to read it. So they got it. I sent it to them because my family actually does celebrate St. Nicholas Day. And like, I don't know why my family does, but we have for as long as I can remember. Like you just got candy and stuff, but for all my family, I sent them this book and they all got it on St. Nicholas Day. So I shipped it exactly right. So they would get it St. Nicholas Day. So, and I wrote a note, sorry, I didn't warn you about Krampus, till now, because he came yesterday. And if you're not, and I said, put a little note in, like, if you're not getting this, well, you'll be missed. And so because that's what
But
I
they
say
all
to my
got it
family.
because your family is
Yeah, they all survived. They were all good.
good.
And so they can get there, and you can find me on Instagram at it is, I'm going to say, because I think last time I was on here I said it wrong, but it's G_Fedora, like the hat, FDORA _crypto, CRYPTO, like cryptocurrency, but that's because I should have said cryptid, but I know nothing about cryptocurrency, don't ask. So, but yeah, it's that, or you can go to www.fedoracrt.com. That's my website. And if you go also to my YouTube, if you write in Fedora CRT, it'll take you to the YouTube channel. And from there, you can get, like, if you go to Instagram, you can get to all of it. You'll get to everything. So, and you can see my podcast and my YouTube shows, because I do a podcast as well as a little shorts. And you can actually see Saul the Snallygaster. He does little bad jokes and shows up every now and then. He's not here right now. I don't know where he was.
Oh,
So that could be trouble, because I don't know where he is. Usually he's like right here.
He can be a little blunt sometimes, but he's been making some more recent appearances on the shorts on YouTube. Yeah,
he's been coming in telling bad jokes and leaving. Yeah. He might be upstairs with my daughter. That is where sometimes he wanders off to. So.
Oh boy, I don't know.
Telling her bad jokes.
Yeah, bad influence, and then Krampus comes. I mean, I don't know.
I know.
Be careful.
I know. I'm not a good dad. Letting her play with Snallygasters in the house. So.
Well,
yes.
I mean, all right, sir. Well, to wrap us up today,
yes.
why don't you go ahead and leave us with a final thought? words of wisdom or a piece of advice.
All right. Well, seeing as it's Christmas time, we've been talking about scary Christmas monsters. Do your part to make Christmas good for your friends and family. Don't be the one that makes Christmas suck, because there's always one family member that does. Don't be that family member. That's it. There's always one. Let it be you. So that's it.
Sage advice.
Sounded yes.
Words.
I try my best not to be that guy, but So.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Gregory. I really appreciate it, and Merry Christmas.
Yes, Merry Christmas to you too, and Happy New Year, and hopefully we can hook up again in the new year and do something fun.
Thank you, Mr. Fedora, for joining me on the show once again, and I absolutely look forward to catching you back here after the next Happy Little Monsters drops. Listeners, I thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed today's bonus episode and had a great time. There are links below to buy my guest's books, to catch his awesome YouTube content. He is constantly putting new stuff out, so there is never a dull moment over at the Fedora Files, which is the name of his podcast. If you haven't given it a listen yet, what are you doing? Go give it a listen. You will find a link for that below as well. And make sure you follow my guest on all of his socials. Now, before we go, just a final rundown of how you can win a copy of The Creatures Are Stirring. There's a giveaway post out right now on my Instagram and on Gregory's Instagram. You're going to go give that post a like, and you're going to comment the name of the song that we played for you today. Remember, you have 2 chances to win a copy, so it is well worth throwing your name in the hat. The deadline is January 6th. Names will be drawn and winners notified on January 7th. Rate the show 5 stars if you enjoyed this one. Like and comment under the episode if you are seeing it on YouTube. Tell me what you enjoyed so much about today's show so I know to do more of it. I do appreciate the feedback. Yes, even if it's good. Follow the show on all of social media at Paranorm Girl Pod. This will be the last episode before Christmas and New Year's Eve, so I will leave you all with my sincerest wish that you guys have a very Merry Christmas, an exceptionally happy holiday, or just a peaceful and happy whatever you are doing this year. I thank you guys for an incredible and memorable year. It has been quite the ride. I'll see you all back here in 2024. Until we meet again, stay safe, keep the nightlight on, and sleep with one eye open.